Por favor, no te lleves a mi esposo. Lo azotaron contra el suelo, como nos hubieran atacado a mí, a mi familia, a mis hijos. A mi niño de 3 años estaba llorando, le estaba gritando que por favor soltaran a su papá.
In March, 6 Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arrested Wilmer Catalan-Ramirez, an undocumented immigrant from Guatemala who had been living in the U.S. for a decade. His partner, Selene Adame, recorded parts of the raid on her phone. At the time of the arrest, the father of young American children was recovering from serious wounds he sustained 2 months before during what his lawyers called a random drive-by shooting. But ICE officers ignored his repeated pleas to lighten up and fractured his shoulder, according to court documents.
Yo les pedía que por favor lo arrestaran aquí, que porque el brazo lo tenía paralizado y que no podían hacerlo, no podía hacer este movimiento para atrás. Ellos no les importó.
In May, Catalan-Ramirez filed a lawsuit against ICE for their excessive use of force, unlawful entry, and unreasonable seizure.
Even if you're here undocumented, you do have your civil rights, and you can't let federal agents trample all over those rights.
Vanessa Del Valle is one of Catalan-Ramirez's civil attorneys. With the lawsuit, she hopes to highlight the importance of protecting immigrants' constitutional rights and of holding ICE officers accountable for their actions.
Whether or not you believe that someone who's here undocumented should be deported, that doesn't matter to the fact that when an ICE agent goes in to arrest someone, they have to treat that person with respect and dignity. They have to follow the rule of law. They can't beat up that person. They can't break that person's arm. They can't use aggressive and excessive force against that person. That's not the country we live in.
But there isn't a roadmap yet on how individuals can successfully sue federal agents for civil rights violations. That's due to high legal barriers, a lack of precedent, and the fact that many undocumented immigrants don't want to bring on unwanted attention.
A lot of these people obviously are living here in fear, and they don't know that they even have the opportunity to sue ICE agents.
ICE targeted Catalan-Ramirez because the Chicago Police Department included him in a gang database. But Catalan-Ramirez's partner and lawyers say he was never a part of a gang.
There's no criminal activity that proves he's in a gang. There's no, he hangs out with a certain group of people that proves he's in a gang.
That's why, along with suing ICE, Catalan-Ramirez is also suing CPD and the city of Chicago. The lawsuit says the city's over-inclusive gang database is arbitrary and discriminates against Black and Latino men. And since the database is private, the public has no idea who's on the list or how they got there in the first place.
There's no process by which the immigrant can contest their inclusion in the gang database and get themselves off the gang database. So once they're in there, they're in there. So if someone is picked up on a minor traffic violation and then is wrongfully then racially profiled and put into the gang database, that person then will be targeted by ICE. How can the city call itself a sanctuary city if it's not protecting all undocumented immigrants?
But I want to be clear. We're going to stay a sanctuary city. In
2012, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel signed an ordinance to make Chicago the most immigrant-friendly city in the country. The law protects undocumented immigrants by preventing CPD from collaborating with ICE. But that only applies to immigrants who don't have pending or prior felony convictions, don't have an outstanding criminal warrant, and aren't on the city's gang database. The city of Chicago didn't reply to our emails about the lawsuit, and an ICE representative refused to comment on the case due to possible pending litigation. Catalan-Ramirez is also suing the local jail where he's currently detained for failure to give him the medical treatment he says he needs. We reached out to jail officials who also declined to comment. While Catalan-Ramirez is fighting to hold ICE and the city of Chicago accountable, he's doing so while also fighting another battle: his possible deportation.
Had Wilmer, Mr. Catalan-Ramirez, for instance, not come to the attention of the news media and we hadn't gotten involved, he may have been removed very, very quickly to Guatemala with a fractured shoulder, with all of these medical needs.
Immigration attorney Diana Rashid is helping Catalan-Ramirez stay in the United States.
We can only wonder how many people that happens to and how many people, fall through the cracks, are removed very, very expeditiously without much of a process.
Catalan-Ramirez has a deportation order that dates back to 2006, when he was arrested and deported for working in the U.S. illegally.
He did not have an attorney, did not know or understand whether he may have been eligible for any form of relief, including asylum.
He came back a few months later and has been living illegally in the U.S. ever since. Rashid is asking a judge to toss out his deportation order because his life could be in danger if he returns to Guatemala. But according to Rashid, his inclusion in the gang database hurts his chances of staying. Catalan-Ramirez may still have a chance to legally live and work in the U.S. because he was the victim of that random drive-by shooting we mentioned earlier, and is willing to help the police solve that crime. And his civil lawsuit will continue even if he's deported. But Catalan-Ramirez isn't just the subject of a lawsuit. He's a partner and a father, and leaving is a possibility his family might have to deal with.
En sí ahorita no tenemos un plan en específico, solamente como dice mi esposo, si me toca que irme, tú te vas a tener que esperar una temporada aquí. Él quiere mirar a sus hijos aquí crecer y que también reciban aquí todos sus estudios. Han estado más angustiados porque ¿qué va a pasar con mi papá? Ya no lo vamos a ver, ¿cuánto tiempo va a pasar ahí? Jamás lo vamos a volver a ver. Esas preguntas que te hacen los hijos sí son fuertes porque tú a veces no sabes qué contestarles. Pero ¿cómo tú le puedes decir a unos niños que tienen que aguantar, que tienen que esperar hasta que su papá salga?